We're here today to talk about safety around horses. That's a pretty broad subject. Right now we're going to concentrate on the things that make a horse inherently dangerous to be around. One, they're a large animal, so they have a lot of body weight. They're very quick, very agile. One thing about a horse, they will bite you, and so you have to be sure that they don't develop the habit of trying to bite someone. We have to be cautious about his front feet, not only from a standpoint of pawing, but from stepping on someone with a front foot. They can kick with a pretty wide range. Their hind legs are extended behind them when they kick, but they can reach to the side and kick as well. Some other characteristics about horses that may be a little different than other animals is the fact that they're very attentive. They're very expressive as well. If we pay attention to their ears and tail, we can tell when they're getting agitated. And so that's something, if you're paying attention, that can help you be safe when you're around a horse. Horses are normally a longer term project. We have to keep in mind that this horse will be around a long time. You have to be very diligent in teaching them respect. They can become aggressive. If they don't respect you, they'll push on you, and that creates more dangers when a horse decides that they don't have to respect your position while you're around them.
When you're looking at buying a horse for the first time, you want to make a selection that is going to end up being an enjoyable experience for the youth or the adult that purchased that horse. We have several things to consider when selecting a horse. We can look at their temperament. We want to make sure that we pick one that is easy to get along with. Easygoing horse is probably going to be more suited to that first-time buyer. It's important to consider the amount of training of the person buying the horse versus the amount of training that the horse has actually had, as they will not have to be sorting things out from the beginning, from scratch, for the both of them. Other things include the age of the horse. Typically, a young person is best suited with a more mature horse. That horse has the experience, has the training that's necessary. Other considerations when selecting a horse include the size. Sometimes a young person is best suited to a small horse for ease of management. It just depends on the situation. It's heavily influenced by the temperament of that horse as well as the amount of training. You want to factor in the horse's conformation and the riding discipline. What is that horse designed to be? Is it going to be just a halter horse, a reining horse? What discipline is that rider interested in? Another consideration would be cost. Typically, a cheaper horse is going to have less training, and it may be a more frustrating experience for the individual that's working with it. You may also want to factor in gender when looking to select a horse. A lot of times mares are very smart and they're easy to work with, but they sometimes have attitude and hormonal issues to deal with. We have geldings that are normally more laid back and easy to get along with, but it just depends on the horse. Stallions, however, may not be the best match for youth or novice handlers. They are typically more aggressive and a little hard to manage. Think about your safety. We can look at different breeds of horses. We have Arabians, the thoroughbreds, the quarter horses. Any of those horses may have a specialty that they're more suited for. We base our selection process on all of the characteristics that we've talked about in order to prevent injury and to improve our safety practices around horses.
We want to talk just a little bit about the type of equipment that we need to have. We want to have a good, stout halter, neither one of these nylon web kind of halters that has a very stout buckle associated with it. We can tuck that in and it won't come undone. We want where it has metal, that it be a stout metal, where if a horse does happen to set back, it doesn't break. One that has a swivel on it as well. It helps from getting that rope twisted up and causing some additional problems. Another area we want to be concerned about is the snap that we use on these. We want a very strong snap. You should always make sure that that snap is not going to break before you approach, because they can flip over on top of you, or that snap can actually fly back and hit you. There's rope halters as well that we can use. A good cotton rope is also the best lead rope when you're just working with a horse. There's flat nylon leads that can be easily pulled through your hand, which can cause quite a bit of injury and rope burn type situation. So we don't recommend any kind of nylon lead rope. The best and safest lead rope for just working with a horse is a good cotton rope that's a 3/4 to 1 inch in diameter. One of the areas of concern we have around the horse is how we approach a horse. Very often someone wants to walk right toward a horse's head. In reality, you need to step out here just a little bit more, make sure the horse is aware of your position as you approach them, and then work more toward their shoulder. They know where you're at. You're in a safe zone where if they make a motion, you have the ability to get out away from those animals as well. But there's still an area of a horse where they can't see you, and that's going to be underneath their chin, down under their shoulder. The other spot where a horse can't see you is back here behind them, directly behind them. Some unsafe practices that we see around horses, and one of them is walking underneath the horse's neck while they're tied. If they were to spook for any reason, they're going to jump back and then lunge forward. So this is an area you never want to pass under the neck of a horse, and certainly not if they're tied to a fence or tied up to anything. The other thing we see some small children doing, and I think we do this because we're afraid of getting kicked, but they'll actually cross under the belly of a horse just because they think they can and get away with it. Never be underneath a horse for any reason. Don't go under the front and don't go under the belly. One routine function we do around horses is haltering them. We have to always go catch a horse before we can do anything to it. That process is also one of the most dangerous things that we can do if we don't do it properly. So we always want to make sure that if we approach a horse, particularly in an enclosed area such as a stall, that they respect our position once we enter that stall. They know we're going to come in there. And then once we enter, we need to have this halter ready. That means unbuckled and ready to go. So when I get in there, I don't have to hesitate to halter that horse. As you enter the stall, you want to make sure you have your lead rope ready to where you can actually get it around the horse's neck to where they can't turn and run away from you. Draw her face to me to where I know she's watching me. I walk to the horse, I'm always going to stroke down their neck. If you're tall enough to reach over, put the lead rope around their neck and hold them. That allows you some security as you start to put the halter on. Reach across their neck, use the halter if you're large enough, and let the horse put their nose in the halter. You'd like to teach a horse to get their head low enough to when you put the halter on, it's very easily buckled. When the halter is buckled appropriately, this strap around the chin is right here at the base of the jaw. You don't want this to be too loose because if they happen to sit back, it can pull off the end of their nose. When you're getting ready to turn the horse loose, I like to put the lead rope around their neck, be able to hold that, then unbuckle the halter. And if they start to move, stop the process until they stand still. If they start to run off, you stop them. Allow the halter to fall off. You still have control on them. Allow that to come off their neck. Step far enough away if they happen to turn, to run and kick, that you're not in that strike zone if the horse happens to kick at you. When you're using one of these rope halters, you want to put it on basically the same way, but they connect so much differently. You always run that through that small loop, pull it up until it's tied under the base of the jaw, bring the part behind the ear around and loop it below that knot, to where if they set back, it doesn't draw down so tight that you can't get it undone. If you happen to tie it up here above that and they set back, you'll nearly have to cut one of those halters to get it off.